Modern dating is lawless. When you're younger, you're fed a lot of propaganda about how intersexual dynamics work and how things are supposed to be, whether it's from Disney, Hallmark, or shows on TV, movies, or even the rom-coms, you name it. The game is never really explained to you unless someone teaches it to you. And unfortunately for me, I wasn't so lucky. Like many other guys, I've had my struggles, my rejections, and my downright embarrassing moments, as well as many wins and outcomes that I would consider successful. I've learned so much, fortunately and unfortunately. But not only that, I've learned by just talking with other guys and even women who are willing to share certain things that I simply didn't know at that point in time. So, the whole point of this is to help guys understand the current dating market from at least my perspective. Now, when women are active in the dating world, they gain this ability to filter through men they deal with. And so there's usually two different categories they're separated into. You have the guys they find really attractive, and then the guys they don't find attractive to varying degrees. Seems simple, but it's very confusing for a lot of guys. If a woman finds a man attractive, he can get by with somewhat the bare minimum, and generally, he doesn't have to invest as much to get reciprocated treatment. But with guys they don't find that attractive, those guys are forced to play the dating game of chasing and orbiting and providing resources, gifts, and applying pressure to prove that they're worth her time. Now, what makes a woman attracted to a man? I'm no expert, but it could be a multitude of things, but my best guess is looks and aesthetics first and everything else second. If a chick digs how you look, that's like 90% of the work right there, as long as you're somewhat socially adept. Unfortunately, a lot of guys are sort of fed this idea that, oh, it's just your personality, it's just your personality, it's just this and just that. But the thing is, what does personality even mean? For example, does having charisma and charm make you more attractive? I'd say yeah, but funny doesn't make you attractive, smart doesn't make you attractive, being kind isn't attractive. None of those things are attractive in and of themselves. And the thing is, you could have most, if not all of these traits and still struggle dating if you don't have the aesthetic for it that a woman is particularly looking for. Hey, but sometimes when it comes to women, it's better to lie than to tell the truth. Putting other things before looks causes confusion, which is probably the goal. Hell, even as a guy, sometimes you can look at another dude and be like, yeah, he probably gets a lot of women. And simply put, if looks didn't matter and personality was the real determining factor, people wouldn't default to saying somebody is out of your league without knowing anything about them. Or they wouldn't say, oh, she's so pretty, how could she deserve XYZ? Or how could she do XYZ when she's so pretty? You know, people will see a dude break up with a girl who's so fine and she looks so good. They'll be like, oh, he fumbled her. Like, how do you not know that she's not a pain in the ass, much less a good person to be around? You know nothing about her besides the fact that she has a big booty and a cute face. But yeah, to circle back to my original point, sometimes women will look at a guy and assume he gets women just based off the strength of how he looks. And the key part to that is that when they see a guy who gets a lot of women, that in turn makes them want to get him as well, because women like having men that other women want. Just like a lot of things in life, dating is saturated with lies and misdirections. Essentially, it's if you just do right, a woman won't do wrong. The problem with this is that the dating game has no real rules, only made up ones. And so one of the biggest mistakes guys make is assuming women have a higher moral compass than men by default, just because. Some men just can't fathom that there are women out there who play the game heavy. Then there's another big misconception, that women just want to find a good man and settle down really quickly, when in reality, a lot of women sabotage their own situations because of a cornucopia of reasons. It can be anything, usually boredom or trying to find herself, something like that. You got to remember that the negative stigma around sex and sleeping around and non-committal lifestyles isn't there anymore. So hookup culture, situationships, sneaky links, these are all very common things nowadays. Being a boyfriend or a husband is just a different job title compared to those other things, and often it comes with added responsibilities and expectations that suck, quite frankly. I mean, just thinking about it from my view, single women, generally between the ages of 18 and 30, even 35 if you stretch it out, right? They're usually in 3 different categories. One of 3. The ones who participate heavily in hookup culture, have interchanging or nondescript relationships, or simply play the field the entire time. You have the second category, which is the ones that have about maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 long-term relationships, most of which will go south eventually. And then you have the third one, which is the ones who stay single the entire time while focusing on a career or school or business, but they might have a fling here or there at the workplace or campus just due to proximity. I mean, these women got to get their fix somewhere, right? Just know the odds of getting a woman who is relatively untouched at this point in time is kind of very slim. Now, I mentioned it earlier about the 2 categories for a reason. Thing is, women chase men too. And if a woman is chasing a man but can't get commitment from him or get him to act right, she'll leverage the things she gets from other men she doesn't find attractive and use it against him. For example, a chick could have a guy pursuing her, buying her flowers, driving 3 hours to see her, and taking her to fancy restaurants and the works, and instead of choosing him, she'd rather throw it in the face of the guy that she's chasing. You know, the whole what one man won't do, another man will type ish. They'll sit there and brag about all the stuff they got, then the very next breath say that they would never sleep with that guy who applied pressure because he just isn't her type. And you know something, fellas? I hear these stories all the time, and I call it the 7-Eleven strategy. The basic concept is when a woman will go on a date with one guy at 7 and then call up the other guy at 11. It seems as though so many women these days have an ex and on and off relationship going, a side dude, a situationship, or friends with benefits hanging around the background who she can call up to fulfill her sexual desires on a whim, while still meeting new guys and filtering through for long-term compatibility. I mean, surely you don't believe all these single women are just sitting at home knitting and trying on sweaters and things like that. If a woman doesn't find you attractive, nothing will save you. No amount of money or effort will save you either. It just makes you an easier target for when they eventually give up on the guy who's their preferred option or they want to settle down. And there's 2 different kinds of unattractive. There's unattractive physically, and then there's unattractive physically and situationally. A woman will still date a guy who she finds physically unattractive if he provides her a lifestyle that she can enjoy, right? She won't like you, but she'll play ball as long as you, well, pay. But then there's the unattractive physically plus situationally, and those kind of guys really get no play whatsoever. Now, in the beginning, I said that dating is lawless, but that might actually be a good thing. But it depends on the kind of guy you are, right? If you're a guy that prefers short-term situations and things that are more casual, it probably works out a little bit better for you. But I'm gonna keep it honest. If you're a man that wants to find a woman long-term, you have to be very, very judicious on the kind of woman you bring in, I guess depending on your standards, but that's for every individual guy, I suppose. So, I can't try to project those things onto anybody else. Just know that those good girls who, you ideally want, they are not common under this type of culture anymore. A lot of men graduate from being friend zoned their entire teenage years through their 20s and then move into their 30s and beyond being stuck in one-sided relationships. Why? Because they thought women matured over time and learned from their mistakes, when in reality, they just settled for the most comfortable option. All right, y'all, I'm gonna wrap it up here. If you enjoy content like this, I'm gonna try doing a few more dating videos or dating culture videos. So be sure to drop a like below if you liked this type of content. I also have my newsletter below where you can sign up to get messages just like this straight to your inbox. And yeah, if you want to see more from me, as always, subscribe for more.